This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're recording now, so you can go ahead and get going. My name is Jesus Haro. I'm going to call the Streets and Infrastructure Committee regular meeting of the City of Bisbee, County of Cochise, State of Arizona to be held Thursday, July 23rd, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. via computer. Details below, and we are doing this via GoToMeeting. Let's see here. Where are we at? I'll go to page 2. So let's start with the roll call. Ben Lepley.
Here. Here.
Frank Cabello.
Here.
Lawrence.
Here.
Stephen Day. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and myself, Jesus Haro. Council member Pollock. He's not on, is he? Okay. So this time I should call the public. I don't see anybody else that is logged in from the public. So I would assume then that we don't have any call to the public. So let's move on to new business. Let me see here. Go here. So the first item on new business is a paving update. So it's been a little bit since we've had our a meeting, and a little bit has gone on, but obviously we've had our gone through our budget, and I know that was one of the subjects that we were, was pretty, we've talked about a lot, trying to make sure that we get the funding that we needed. We were looking at trying to get that Tombstone Canyon project into our budget, and we did so. I originally, when we did our first budget round, I took our very first full-on paving for an overlay. I took that first one. That one came in originally at $1.2 million. I added 20% for contingency and asked for $1.4 million. And originally we did get that. That's what is approved in our budget. I just spoke with the city manager, however, and that $1.4 million was originally budgeted for, was contingent on us having some fund balance, and we ended up using up more than was anticipated. So our budget, although it shows at 1.4 million, we're closer to about 1.18 million. That doesn't affect us a whole lot. We still have our Tombstone Canyon project moving forward. We have a pre-construction meeting next Thursday. I would invite any of you all that want to attend. I can forward you on that information. If we are going to have a quorum, I better make sure that if we're going to have the 4 of you there, I need to make sure that we post that correctly. That meeting will be again Thursday at our city council chambers with KE&G. They are the ones that came through with the lowest proposal. That proposal was, I think it was about $580,000. Again, I added 20% for contingency. We're into, I think, 640, I believe, somewhere in there with what my budget is. I hope we don't have to go to use that contingency. It's just there for just in case. After that, after we do our Tombstone Canyon project, I will then take the remaining budget that we have left in our 1% sales tax, and we'll continue on with our regular maintenance of our roads. We'll just continue on with some overlays, and we will then come back, and now that we've got our oil distribution truck, we can use that and do some maintenance with that. Any questions anybody might have about paving?
Yeah, is that full scale, like 2-inch rolled asphalt on top? Paving?
Yes, sir. It's 2-inch rolled asphalt. KE&G will also come back and do the adjustments to all of the sewer manholes and the water valves, as Mr. Cabello knows. So they'll be doing the entire
88
thing.
sidewalk things, all that stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, great. That sounds good. That's not a slurry seal then. Cool. A
No,
permanent
we
fix.
changed full overlay.
Good.
Are there any drainage problems or issues that are being changed, or is it just as is? Just
No,
bam.
we're gonna leave it as is. There are a few, I think 2 to 3 places where we are going to, the asphalt is a little bit more deteriorated. We're gonna go ahead and mill those small sections out, and then those ones will have a little bit more reconstruction on that, but we aren't changing any drainage.
And so this is from the Naco Road turn off all the way up to the bridge, the other on-ramp to Highway 80 to the
Yes,
west.
sir. Yes, the entire thing, Naco Road, Main Street, Tombstone Canyon, from ADOT right of way to ADOT right of way.
We're doing
will tell-
striping. Is striping
Yes, that was
done
the one thing I was-
in-house or?
No, that the striping will be done by KE&G. They will do a pave. They'll come down. They'll put one layer of water-based paint for temporary markings, and they'll come back with thermal plastic.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. I don't have any other questions on that. So
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Well, there was a competitive bidding for this job, right?
It was actually done. I got 3 proposals. All 3 proposals were from companies that already had cooperative contracts, so they were already competitive bid. The other 2, I can tell you the other 2 companies that we got. It was Tucson Asphalt. Tucson Asphalt did propose their green asphalt, and Sunland Asphalt. They were on a cooperative contract, and the KE&G was just able to, and I believe because of their closer proximity, give us a better price.
The last time we looked at those numbers, didn't Sunland Asphalt put in a bid of $244,000 back in November?
I believe it was a little bit more, but yeah, I believe it was a little bit more, but that one was for a slurry seal. That wasn't when I changed the scope so that we could go to a full 2-inch overlay. That's where they had to change and go to asphalt.
And then I'm looking at the Tucson Asphalt bid, and the one again from September of 2019. They looked like $1,124,000.
Yes, that was
Right.
the original price they gave us for their overlay. Again, I bumped that up a 20% contingency, so that's how we get to the 1.4. I will tell you that they did reevaluate their proposal, and they got it down to just over 1 million. But that's still more expensive than what KE&G can do the job for.
but I think it's important to note that's green asphalt, so that's why it's double the price.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the number from
Tucson-
KE&G was 684,000.
No, I think it's 584 is what KE&G gave, and then I added a contingency to that.
At 20%, which may or may not get spent.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we hope it doesn't. But yes, it's there for just in case.
Well, that all sounds good to me.
Okay.
Fine with me.
Great.
I think just a side note, we used to have, and this is before I moved to Bisbee, but there was a really super famous bicycle race in Bisbee, like a national bicycle race, kind of like El Tour de Tucson.
La Vuelta de la Bisbee.
Yeah, and I heard it got canceled because the roads, especially that road, was too rough and bumpy. So we might be able to get that bike race back if the organizers are still around. That would be amazing. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Because we're
that
paving.
bike
Okay.
actually used to be a required, one of the 2 required prerequisites to get into the Tour de France.
Wow,
for mountain riding.
wow.
You had to use this one or another one. So
that is big, real big. And that's, yeah. So
lost
if we
that.
could get that back, like, holy crap, that would be so good for the city. But you know, one of us should toot that horn. It sounds like you're more familiar than me, Larry. So, but yeah,
It might have
We
been
should
Frank
push-
that was speaking.
Frank, yeah, okay. Should push that back. So try and get that race back. That'd be so cool.
Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions on a paving update, we can move on to item number 2. It's a financial update with income sources updates. How will budget be affected with the COVID pandemic and paving costs? I didn't have, this wasn't my subject. Did somebody submit that and have specific questions?
Yeah, that was my question. And it's basically because of the 1% sales tax. We get a lot of 1% tax from Safeway, which, if anything, their tax revenue went up. But the restaurants and other retailers, tourist-based retailers, probably hit the floor. So, you know, I think we have a 2 or 3 month delay, a quarterly delay before we feel that impact. And I'm wondering if there is an impact, and if so, like, is it like normally we get 60,000 a month and now we're going to get 20,000? Like, what is that impact for our paving budget?
Okay,
Wow.
so in talking with the city manager and our finance director, at the time that the COVID pandemic hit, we were actually about 3% over on our sales tax. And so when that happened, since then, the anticipation is that we will fall down 3% compared to projections. So we were anticipating that because we were over and now we're going to go under, that we should be right at what the projection was. I have not heard of any issues with our income. You know, I will tell you that we are proceeding cautiously, especially with the streets or public works. We do get money from the state with the HERF tax. We're hoping that isn't affected to what much. But I guess to answer that question again, we anticipate that because we were over on our projection going into COVID and then COVID hit, we should be right at what with projection.
Yeah, that's good. There are a couple other things to take into account on that too, is that although it's an extremely important part of our income, tourism, it is not a major portion, and maybe only contributes 10 to 15% of our overall revenue. So losing it is a blow, but it's not going to be as serious of a blow. No, it's not going to go down to $200,000, but
Yeah.
basically majority of our money comes from literally local people shopping in our local stores like Safeway and the hardware stores and things like that. So if those revenues are going up, like Jesus said, more than likely it will balance.
Well, that's good. So yeah, maybe if the impact is there, it might be super
Fingers
long
crossed.
term. So
Cross your fingers.
yeah, seriously. Okay, yeah, I mean, that answers my question on that. So
Okay, any other questions regarding that, item 2? Okay, we'll hear none. Let's just move on to item 3. Item 3 and item 4 are similar. This one is item 3 is discussion and possible approval of the nomination and voting of a new chair for the Streets and Infrastructure Committee. This is something that because we lost our chair, we don't have one. So it would be nice if we had a chair. That way we can have from the actual committee running these meetings with me as just the city liaison to this. Any discussion?
Well,
Wait a
I
second.
think
No.
you're
Everybody jumping up here.
I'm gonna go
I'm-
hide under my desk.
Many nomination list because I just got contacted and my friend of ours by an engineering firm called Hewitt Zolars out of New Mexico. And I guess NADBank has them looking at the proposal we proposed a couple years back, and they got the okay to do a proposal on that. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing that. So I don't think I'd be able to have the time necessary to be a chairperson of this kind of thing. So
Maybe
Okay.
I'd like to suggest that maybe the mayor goes through his list of people that signed up for streets and infrastructure, assuming anyone did. Maybe nobody did, and go from that list first and try and get 6 people. I don't know.
I'm
This is my-
sure to answer that question. I'm not sure if anybody did sign up for it, but it's my understanding that the mayor is holding off on adding people and doing anything until we become more stable due to COVID. So I think it's the reason why we only have 4 right now.
Oh, so catch 22. Okay.
Yeah. So if I just to get this moving on is you all aren't ready to have a chair, that's fine. It's you guys can it's a committee made of residents and members of the community. If you guys are again not ready for that, you all can let this die for lack of motion.
can I make a motion to maybe table it for further discussion or move it down the road? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, you can just absolutely just that.
Because I'm sure
Now
somewhere
let me
down the
tell
road
you,
do it.
if you table it, what happens is it has to come up and it has to be voted on the next time. Again, it
Okay.
can die the next time. For lack of vote, so,
But if it dies, then we can just bring it up again sometime.
yes.
Okay, well, that's a better suggestion.
Does anyone, I'm guessing not, does anyone want to be chair? No. Okay. I don't either. So,
The last time we discussed this, I think we agreed that it would be good if we could get the new members on the committee before we voted for a chairperson. And even though that's taking longer than we thought back in December, I think it would still be nice if we could get, maybe this is an opportunity for all of us to redouble our efforts on finding new members for the committee.
Actually, I do recall you saying that, Larry.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Mhm.
And Lewis Pollock thought that was a great idea at the time, but now 6 months have gone by and we still don't have a chair. But maybe we could get some more committee members, and then we could, let them vote too.
Yeah, I definitely approached 3 people or so to join. I don't know if they put in their form or what, but I can reach out again. But you guys should too, because you have different circles and, try and get balance.
Sure, I agree with that. I think that's a great way to proceed. And our next meeting isn't for 60 days, and I think we'll probably still be on computer. Oh yeah, what time is that Thursday meeting with KE&G at the mayor's office? Well, the city
Let me
council
double check on that.
meeting.
Let me double check on that for you. It is 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, and that's going to be
Yeah.
in person.
Correct.
Yes. Maybe we could keep our social distancing with our masks on in 60 days when we meet again, and
Or
have some. Maybe we could bring some guests. No, we can't bring guests. To people that might be interested to join the Streets and Infrastructure Committee that might want to see us in action.
you can nominate people
Well-
off the floor too.
Actually, we're allowed to
We
have
can
guests. They just
We
can't talk.
can definitely share the GoToMeeting links and have people join to watch if they would like.
And also you can check this, but people if you're looking for officers, people in the crowd in the general meeting can actually nominate themselves for a position. It is allowed. That's about the only time the public is allowed in any type of business. But yeah, they can nominate themselves if that's what you're looking for. Believe it or not, yeah. Open meeting law.
Yeah. Okay.
Get as many guests as possible at that meeting.
We could all commit to bringing one guest.
Yeah, I live in Naco. That's hard to find people down here. And, on June 6th, I had my vehicle totaled when I completely blocked up Pry Boulevard because somebody just slammed me and tipped me over. So I don't have a truck anymore right now either. So
Oh man.
I'm glad.
Sorry about that.
Good here. Yeah, that's the computer thing. Great.
I could give you a ride to the next meeting. You'll have a new car in 6. You'll have another truck.
I got a friend who can give me a ride. Yeah. Well, the insurance company's being, the other side's being a dick. It took 5 weeks to get the police report because of the 10 police cams and 20 or so witnesses. Just basically, the guy turned right from the left lane, drove right through my vehicle to try to get into the post office in front of Denny's, and then backed up and tried to get away. But yet his insurance company doesn't want to commit to anything yet. You know how that goes. That's not for this discussion, though.
Okay, so is it your all intention to just table this, or let it? If you want to table it, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to table until next meeting. Make a motion to table assigning a chair and vice chair. That's allowable until next meeting.
I second the motion.
Okay. Well, all those in favor of tabling, let's do these separately. All those that are in favor of tabling the nomination of a chair, signalize by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, that motion passes. Again, there was a motion and a second to table the nomination of a vice chair. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, both of those have passed, and we will add that, keep that on for next meeting. Item 5, restriping in Old Bisbee. Did somebody have a specific question on that?
Yeah, that's me again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically to just separate, but pick up off of my question about striping Tombstone and any other places. If there's any changes in the striping design, parking, in particular, tourist parking, or actually anyone parking, and bicycle lane, or any other changes, or no striping at all. I don't know.
We'll have some striping.
Just pure freedom.
So what our plan is, Chunky, and at least the easy one for us is, there was a report that a city manager got to me, and it said that most of our parallel parking along the street is 22 feet long, and they presented some information that shows that you can be as low as 17 or 18 feet. So what we'll do is when we go to restripe at a 19-foot parallel spot, hopefully adding up to 40 spaces along Tombstone Canyon.
Holy cow.
The other striping, yeah. The other striping that we're going to do some modification on is, well, first off, there are a number of crosswalks that are in place that don't have handicap ramps. That does not meet ADA. Essentially, what that does is it invites somebody into the street with no way to get out. So those specific crosswalks that don't have handicap ramps will not be replaced. That's one, and then the other striping modification that we're going to do is near the large curve, just I guess south of the chocolate factory. It's right there by what is the name of the hotel? I can't think of it, but it's a sharp curve as you're going back down into Main Street. We're going to do some striping modifications so that we can have some calming. We'll push both of those lanes to the, I guess that would be the north side of the road, in an effort to produce a little bit more walking space along the south side of the road. Well, that would be the side closest to the inner or the state highway, and hope to add some traffic calming to that. As far as striping of Old Bisbee, that's what our plan is for now, unless somebody else has anything specific they'd like to see or recommend.
Well,
You do-
I'd just say bike lanes, but wherever possible, which might have calming attributes to it because you're making the lanes more narrow.
Okay, that's something we can definitely look at. The bike lanes are typically a 6-foot bike lane. I can definitely look at that. I don't think that would add too much to our budget for that. It would have to add some sign. Again, I don't think that would add too much. So it's definitely something I can look at. I'll bring that up in our pre-construction meeting.
Okay.
I'd still like to see some parking spaces striped in, in front of the county courthouse there.
Oh, yeah.
Behind
Yes.
the Copperman.
Yes.
Currently,
I do have
there's a no parking sign there. Technically, you're not allowed to park there. And I think that would be a great addition for some parking spaces.
Yeah, technically, most of that is owned by the county. I do have a concept that I am going to be putting together, but I wanted to do that after we get our Tombstone Canyon project. So I have a concept that I'd like to put together for that. And then the other one is the intersection of right there. Oh, I can't think of the name of the road. Make me pull it up. Give me 1 second. I can't think of the name of the road.
Actually, I kind of like these meetings because we all have computers. I can pull up Google Maps as well too.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Cell phone.
Clawson, the intersection of Clawson and Tombstone Canyon. That's not an ideal intersection. It's got a very sharp angle to that intersection. I'd like to try to modify that a little bit so that we can get more of a right angle to that intersection. Again, that's more in concept. I don't have anything even written, put down on paper. When I do put something down on paper, from experience, I would like to have some input from the community. So rather than just going and making a change, something like that, we'll definitely get some sort of town hall so we can have some input for that.
That's right in front of Bisbee Vogue. So
yes, and I've had some discussions with Bisbee Road.
What was the name of that cross street there?
Clawson?
Clawson Avenue.
Clawson. CLAWSON. Clawson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, right in front of High Desert Market.
Uh-huh.
There's a jewelers shop there.
I'm not sure that place couldn't use a little crosswalk too. Actually, it's getting pretty busy up there, and people
It has one.
circle around the Copperman, and when you come out from the retaining wall in front of the parking lot of St. Patrick's, it's kind of, if a little bit dangerous if you ask me, but if nobody else has noticed it.
There is a crosswalk. I'm looking at Google Maps, and at least on Google Maps, which is probably 4 years old, it shows a crosswalk going right in front of Screaming Banshee. I don't know if it's still there though.
I don't think it is.
It is still there.
Is it? Okay, thank you. Well, that's fine then.
But,
A little further on the other side of the Copperman, where you come out from right below the parking lot of the church. That'd be a nice place to be able to cross if you were going to go, because there's a now Tweez restaurants also in there along with the High Desert market. you know, so that might be a good place to put. Would be a nice place to put it. Actually, that would probably. I know legally it's an unmarked crosswalk because it's at an intersection, but it might be a nice idea to put some stripes there.
I mean, that whole area is like a rodeo. Like it's just free for all.
Probably just put crossing stripes in through the whole area like they do in front of Target store entrances.
That's
That's
an idea.
definitely something I can look at.
Crosswalk,
I'll
yeah.
bring that up.
Mhm. Yeah, like this whole area you can walk in. It's fine.
Pedestrian way there, yeah.
Yeah. Because people are going to walk there anyways. I mean, we're not
have a bunch
fooling
of
anyone.
stripes.
Like,
Stripes are for the drivers of the cars to know, well, maybe we should slow down here for some reason.
right. Mhm. Yeah, it's very true.
Well, Jesus, you asked for suggestions, and I think those are our suggestions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring them up.
Okay.
Okay. You ready to move on to the next item?
I guess
we
just
are.
before we begin that one, but for the bike lanes, maybe they're not bike lanes. Maybe they're just, we make the shoulder as wide as we can and don't have signs. I don't know. Not my call, but I don't know if we can get 6 feet on either side if we just
Well,
put a line wherever we can.
you bring up a good point, and ADOT does not maintain bike lanes. However, they do put large shoulders where people use them for as a bike lane. They just don't sign them and stripe and mark them as such. So that could be an option for us if we decided to go that route.
Looks like they did it out by Safeway though. It's like a definite bike lane there. They striped the other lane so people wouldn't put for a left lane and a turn lane, and then there's this it's a 6 foot wide. They don't have the little bicycle emblem in it, but it's there, both sides.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did. And in fact, it wasn't intended for bike lanes. It was actually intended as parking. They wanted to take vehicles away from the edge of the road because when they get some heavy rains, people drive in there and splash the water up into the properties adjacent to the road. So that was what they did with that. But that's a little bit off topic, but just
I know they made it's like a
some
10 foot wide parking area, yeah. But yet there's still a big wide extra stripe between the parking line stripe and the roadway stripe. So yeah.
I think it is on topic, but it's maybe it is a little off, but it is ridiculous because that is not that's a suburban area and everyone has their own parking lots anyways. So that would be great for Old Bisbee, but because we need parking, but over there it's just confusing.
They've got a solid white line, and you're not supposed to cross a solid white line when you're driving. I could never figure out how to get into that right-hand lane. Not that I wanted to drive there, but.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
All right.
are we ready to move on then to the next topic?
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the
so-
striping traffic circle and it didn't cause any accidents, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay, so item number 6, update on feasibility study for bicycling around the pit. Somebody bring that one up.
I brought up almost all of them today.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard, I brought this one up because I heard on a city council meeting that there was a USDA grant that was given to both ADOT, the county, the city, and a nonprofit for a study of a potential sidewalk and bike lane around the pit. So I'm just wondering if that affects us or what.
So that grant actually is not for around the pit. It's actually a general, like a master plan of that. I will to more specifically talk about the bike or the multi pedestrian bike path around the pit. We've kind of run into some issues with that. It does not look very feasible because of the slope of the road there. If we were to put in a bike path, walking path, or whatever that may be, that would not meet ADA guidelines for slope. And it becomes very difficult to do that. I know it doesn't sound like it's it just kind of sounds way out there, but one of the ways to get around having an extremely steep slope is to have switchbacks, and that does not seem very feasible for this area. So right now we're kind of stuck on whether it's even feasible and worthy to continue on with trying to get something like that.
It's more than a 3% grade. That's right.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Well, if you look at Old Bisbee, we put in ADA sidewalks all over in areas with the same
Yep.
grade. So,
Well, I don't know that there are a few that are there that I know that don't meet, they would not meet any because of the slope, but there's not much we could do about it with the terrain. That's what it is. There's not much we can do, so we do our best when it comes to those types of things. Was there any other comments or questions regarding item 6? Okay, so I guess let's move on to item 7. Replace the lights in the tunnel. I assume this is the Mule Gold tunnel that we're talking about, the only tunnel we have.
Correct. There, there was a fatality there, and the cycling. There was a nice letter to the editor of the Sierra Vista Herald Tribune saying maybe if we had the lights on in the tunnel, there's about 50 of them that are burned out, and that's not an exaggeration. I tried to count them, but I was driving and I had to watch the road a little bit. And so, why are all those lights burned out in the tunnel? Why? And I was also, the last time we met, there was some discussion about the lights next to the Lavender Pit that the Arizona Department of Transportation wanted the city of Bisbee streets to replace the light bulbs and the lighting fixtures down. That's now State Route 80, I guess. They're going around the tunnel. Did we ever replace the light bulb? There was some bid or something for $60,000 to replace 16 light bulbs or something like that. Six something.
Yeah. I can speak on those. So we recently had a meeting with ADOT regarding the tunnel. They are aware that there are lights that are burned out. The reason for those being burned out is they had that bridge actually, or that tunnel has a lot of water infiltration. And so their water is getting into the lighting ballasts. So that's why those are that way. They have been submitting to replace those lights with LEDs. If I don't know if anybody's had a chance, but there's a tunnel just outside of Superior. It's exactly the same as this tunnel. Excuse me, give me 1 second here. Getting some background noise. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I remember when they used to, all the lights would be on during the daytime, and then at nighttime they'd shut every other one off because you don't need as many at night because everybody's headlights are on.
yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Apologize. So they are aware of the lighting issue. They have been submitting proposals to have the project replaced with LEDs, with lights with LEDs. Their engineer said that that's the project previously was not funded, but he's going to continue to do that so they can get those replaced. They also are planning on restriping those lanes there. They're going to change that configuration so that it has 2 lanes instead of 3 lanes. So one lane northbound, 1 lane southbound, with wide shoulders in there. Almost exactly what we were just talking about. Is put some wide shoulders in there. I did bring up the same issue with the slope and having people inviting them into using that with bicycles. Are they going to stripe that and mark that? And they don't have plans to do that either. So that's what their plan is for the tunnel. The lighting around the pit. So we did, if you recall, we did some research. That is obviously that is State Route 80. ADOT does not maintain streetlights, so they leave that to the responsibility of the municipalities. We determined that we didn't know why we were responsible for lighting around the pit. There's no intersection. There's nothing for us to do that. So we determined that we were just going to de-energize those lights. So if you've been around the pit lately, it's darker.
So I guess what I take from this is we're potentially making things more dangerous for bicyclists and pedestrians than less dangerous.
Well, it's definitely not the goal.
Well, does the city of Bisbee Streets Department have like a truck that would have a basket on it that we could actually do the job, change the light bulbs? I mean, to me, it seemed like, they wanted $1,000 to change a light bulb, and that we needed, 16 of them or something.
Are you referring to the lights that are going around the pit?
Yeah, I think the ones that you just said we were going to de-energize.
Yeah. So the issue with that is not the actual light bulbs themselves, it was the poles. They needed to be placed, and that cost was going to be upwards of $40,000. Again, we don't know why that responsibility falls onto the city to light ADOT right of way. And so that was the thing behind that is if it's being lit, we feel it's more the responsibility of ADOT, and they don't maintain streetlights.
Well,
responsibility.
could we just put new light bulbs? What would happen if we just put new light bulbs in? And I know there's ADOT, who doesn't maintain them, seems to think we need new fixtures, but wouldn't the fixtures still be serviceable?
It was actually APS that came to us and said those poles need to be replaced. It was either turn them off and take them out.
Safety standards, guys. If you hit one of those poles, you'll wrap your car around it and kill yourself, just like that kid. They do not meet snap-off standards. I don't even know why they're still there. They're that dangerous. They should just be cut off at ground level and replaced with new poles. Literally, they're not dangerous. If you hit one, it doesn't move. It would really cause serious injuries. It doesn't have the bases that allow it to get knocked over or snap off. They're concrete-filled steel poles.
And that $40,000 number, was that for per pole, or was that for all, let's say, 12 or 16 poles, whatever they got out there?
I believe there were 14, and that price was for all of them. And the reason that is a large number is because when they have to do those poles, they have to set up traffic control for each pole. So it's the traffic control that becomes a large.
You have to get that.
I would suggest that in regards to this topic, it really should be rolled into the overall multi-use path plan. Pathway, if it's not a sidewalk, if it's earthen, does not need to be ADA.
You know what can be done, guys? That you can create a special district. If it doesn't fall within city or state or county jurisdiction, you can create a special district, which could be a nonprofit. You could get grants and fundings to create such things. And you get with the county on that, but you could create a special, because we have one in Naco, the Naco Street-like Improvement District. You can actually create a legitimate entity with a board and everything. You have to have an elected board. It's a state entity, but it would be a streetlight improvement district that would handle along that highway.
It's a great idea.
The construction methods of how to get one of those going, but I think it's a simple process if you want to address that issue.
Because I would say if it's a removed path, we wouldn't need lights because there's now a separation between the vehicles and the pathway, and the hazard of people being in the road, which need lights. That's the reason for the lights, because there's people in the road. if there's no people at risk of people on the road because they're off the road, then there's no reason for lights, and you might save money that way too. And if it's a district, you know, so I think that's why that grant was applied for, so we can look into something like what you just mentioned of a district and the lights, and a bike lane versus a removed path. That's earthen or paved. What are the ramifications of that? The different codes between earthen and paved, ADA, not ADA. You know, because you go to a park, it's not paved, it's not ADA, people use it, everyone's happy. So, yeah.
Well, if we are going to put in a wide so-called breakdown lane or something, wide shoulder, so we don't have to worry about the ADA saying it's too steep of a grade to put a bike symbol on, you're going to have people using it. And if you're going to have people using it, maybe we ought to light it. And even though $40,000 sounds like a lot, if you had to bring power out to some remote location, they charge you $3,000 a pole to put a pole up, and those old wooden poles to string a electric wire out to your house if you were at the backside of 80 acres or something, and they needed to put a pole every so often. So I think we should really think hard about de-energizing those poles, and instead maybe go with putting poles in and paying the $40,000 and keeping the lights on. Is my thought about it. I don't think $40,000 is too much to pay for poles and new lights that will meet safety standards and provide lighting, because if you're going to put a wider shoulder in, just even calling it a breakdown lane, wink wink, you're going to have people out there using it, I believe, and I think it ought to be lit.
Yeah, I certainly I wouldn't want the guilt resting on my shoulders of another person getting hit by a bicycle, another bicyclist or pedestrian being hit, knowing that we've talked about the subject for years now, and nothing happened. I don't want that guilt on my shoulders, knowing that we could have done something and we didn't. So anyways.
Jesus, I got a question about the lights there. When did ADOT stop servicing or maintaining the street lights?
They still do the maintenance on our streetlights. Or you said APS, right?
No, ADOT? You said ADOT doesn't maintain the street lights?
ADOT never, what they've told me is they've never maintained the streetlights, right? So when those lights were put up, they essentially dedicated them to the city. The city, from that point forward, paid for the maintenance of them. And we have a contract with the APS, and they do the maintenance on those streetlights. We've been paying the energy and the maintenance of those lights.
Okay, because when we did that Dart Road project, they're coming off Naco Road and going out back towards Highway 80. All the lights that we had there, we had a meeting with ADOT for the blue staking, and they told us if we damaged something, we would have to pay them to replace the light in kind. So I was just curious when that happened, because they let us know pretty clearly that if we damaged something there in the event of the project, we were going to pay ADOT to replace that light in kind. So
there's also lighting. Yeah, there's also lighting, on almost every on-ramp and off-ramp, like Naco or whatever, which I would assume it's also ADOT.
It is, and we pay for the energy and the maintenance of those also.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
Wow. Yeah.
So could I make a proposal that we vote to replace the lights on the State Route 80 there from the roundabout up to Naco Road, that light the side of the road there, that's the lavender pit?
Because this was not on there for a vote, I would suggest that we put this on for the next meeting with a discussion and possible approval, so that we can actually vote on that.
I like that.
Well, I'll put that on my notes right now. We'll include that for our next meeting.
Yes. Another thing to note too is that's because we're just an advisory committee, we can't tell the council what to do. But when we move to do this, we can move to say that we all agree to suggest that they take this into consideration and do it, but we can't really tell them to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Rules. That's interesting. How are you guys? How hard is it getting the Frank? This is for Frank. How hard is it to getting the permits to tear the road up there where that water's leaking?
Well, I can tell you we've been working on getting a permit since February. And I think,
They're trying to figure out if they got any street lights there they can get.
ADOT really is something else, aren't they?
oh, it's been pretty disappointing, I will say. I know that in the past, we've had several projects where we've just, because of the infrastructure and the possible hazard of an accident or something, we've been able to use our emergency blanket permit, but that just didn't go this time. And
Like, yeah, we'll wait for the sinkhole to develop and swallow a couple of cars with the drivers, and then we'll get it to you.
well, my guess is they're just looking to replace Highway 80 all the way up to the roundabout. I don't know, man. I'm really disappointed. I think we've submitted all kinds of letters to every level of state and local government because we've probably lost we're averaging about 6 to 8 million gallons of water through that leak every month. And that's
like
not something
18
we
acres
can
with
sustain.
20 acre feet of water.
Yep.
God damn. That's insane.
Okay,
Maybe
do
over
we have
a
any
beer
other
we
discussion
talk more
on
about that.
the lighting?
Yeah, lighting. That's the lighting.
I think there was a
Okay, if,
motion made, right?
Well, no, what I said is because it wasn't on their agenda for actually a vote, we're going to, I'll have that on there. We'll put it next agenda for votes and possible, like I said, be recommendation to reinstitute those lights.
Okay.
So we'll have that on there.
Good recommendation.
Okay, this time, do we have any member comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment that's directly related to the lights and the pathway around the pit. I'd like to add for the next meeting a discussion with a vote about what we should do as far as collaboration with the various members of that grant to see if there are some options that we can discuss regarding ADA, bike lane, breakdown lane, anything that we can tie into both the lights and the issue of safety, so we've got a path forward and it doesn't die the same death it's died at least 5 times before in the last 2 years I've been discussing this. So that's my motion for next meeting, is to have a discussion and some sort of advisory vote in regards to the area around the pit on Highway 80.
So this is more than just lighting. This is more the multi-use and lighting, is what you'd like to have
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah, broader
Right.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on there. Lighting.
In
Okay.
collaborate or in having to do with the USDA grant. So
Okay.
yeah, however you want to word that.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, at our last meeting in January, you were absent, but Lewis Pollock was asking about the PARA study. And I told him I would get it for him, and I found out that maybe you might have it, Jesus, that it's on a shelf someplace. It's a big, thick thing. and it was available just for the asking. And so I was going to ask you, is that true? Do you know where the Para study is from 2010 or 2012?
At it. It's like a 20 by 18-inch multi-page thing with colored pictures
Right.
and everything on it.
Lewis he said he'd be very interested. We were talking about retaining walls and engineering reports going back 10 years about the life expectancy of some of the infrastructure that was, it appeared in the Para study. And so he said, and so I called up somebody and they go, oh yeah, it's here, it's on a shelf, it's somewhere. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I do
I've
know what
actually
you're talking
seen
about. I have not seen it, and I will look.
Great.
it was in the
And would you be sure that Lewis got a hold of it?
I will.
All right, great, because that's what I told him I would do that, and then we stopped meeting, and so it never happened. But
I think I found it on deep in the website somewhere as a PDF, but I might be mistaken.
I was under the impression that there was a hard copy, that it was a book, and maybe Lorena or somebody had it. I can't remember exactly the response I got, but if you inquire, people know that it's, they'll be able to point and go, there it is.
Okay, I will look.
Thank you.
There was a fire too, so.
Yeah.
So kind of consumed.
There was 2 copies.
Any additional points?
I would say also let's get another just a quick follow up on the COVID budget sales tax thing next time, because it'll be a couple months later.
And recommend all your friends, if they can stand the amount of money they get charged for stuff at Safeway, to shop locally.
Yeah, seriously.
Bisbee, support your local vendor. Go to Mel's down there in the thing. He's the only thing open in the convention center. Buy a freaking cigarette lighter or something from him. Keep them going. There's a few businesses downtown through this, and they all need to be supported.
Yep. Eat it, Wheeze.
Okay, I added that, Ben. So we'll discuss that. Any other comments?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll email Lorena if I think of anything.
Okay. I have no additional comments. That being said, our next meeting is scheduled for September 24th, 2020. We will update you on whether that's going to be electronic or if it's going to be an in-person. We won't know until we get closer there.
Gotta open back on my feet by then. I'm one of the few people that still haven't got a stimulus payment yet.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Okay.
Anybody?
All those want to quit, adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Hey,
Meeting
Jesus,
adjourned at 6:28.
Okay. Jesus, just a little fine point of
Yes, sir.
open meeting law.